The LEGO Group has had 2 waves of The Lord of the Rings. The first one was back in 2012 with the release of the Hobbit movies. And then they just recently released a new line of LEGO Lord of the Rings with the conjunction of the Rings of Power coming out, each time creating the Fellowship from the 2001 movie. We're going to take the 2012 LEGO Fellowship and the 2023 Fellowship and combine them to make the ultimate Fellowship of the Ring. Here's the old and new version of Gandalf, Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Gimli, Legolas, Aragorn, and Boromir. Let's start out with Gandalf. So overall, the new minifigure for Gandalf is pretty much my favorite because we got nice new robes and a staff. So for adjustments, and the beards are the same, but I actually like this face a little bit better, but it has a downside of, you can see his mouth. So like basically what I would choose is to have Gandalf with this outfit and then take off that face and just swap it with the old face and the old cape. And then of course Gandalf has to have his wizard hat versus his hair. And we're just gonna accept the fact that you can see his face behind. And one thing that's also sad is he has some great printing from behind that will be covering up with the robe. But there we go. That is my favorite version of Gandalf. I would say the new Frodo is practically perfect, except the torso on the old one has a little bit more detail. And then the Sting, the old Sting, I am a bigger fan of this one too. This new one just feels too thick. Here is Ultimate Frodo. We have the new legs, old torso, and sword. And I actually opted for the old cape because the new one just feels a little too vibrant. Either really work. And then the new face, because I like Frodo being a happy dude, whereas every other one, he looks a little too stressed. Our 2 versions of Sam feel quite different, and this one is really hard to decide what is the better figure. I think I do like the cape of the old one, with it being this green versus some blue. Like the blue, thinking about the movie, the blue's probably way more accurate. And then I think once again, we're going to have to go with the old torso. Let's move that out of the way. Just this new one feels a little bit basic. It's like, it's nice and clean and simple, but I always am a fan of the extra detail. And now just for face. Like, honestly, did I get the wrong guy? But nope, this does not look like Sam's face. I'm going to have to stick with the old face. I switched to the happy face on the new one, and I'm still really unsure with this one. So I decided to go with the new face because Sam is just one of the happiest characters in Lord of the Rings anyways, so we might as well give him a grin versus his, once again, stressed face. And let's have this little piece I got from K-Town Bricks. Just kind of throw it on, and I think this figure now is very complete. For Merry, are we just going to have to do it again and just simply swap the legs? I think we're doing basically the same swap. I was just going to take off the old legs and add these new legs to this figure, but I think the new Merry is actually my favorite version. We will leave him as is. This completely feels just like Merry Buck Bendybuck. Here we have Pippin, and I'm kind of thinking of not making any adjustments on him. Maybe give Pippin the blue cape, but I also can see this brown cape being a little bit better just because it adds a little bit more variety. The old torso, do I like that? Okay, I think I like the old torso more, but everything else about the new one is good. We'll try it. There we go. We have old torso with everything else the new, and I actually really like it. Let's also give him his lembas bread because, you know, he eats 2 of these in one sitting and then is a full hobbit for the rest of his life, basically, because one small bite will fill a grown man. I like it. That is a good Pippin. Here we have Gimli, and his torso, first off, is actually able to be seen because his beard is a little bit split braid rather than just totally covering up with the old one. And then his helmet is shiny with this gold look and like has multiple colors on it, where the old one does not. And then new one has bendable legs, but they're the short kind that kind of go to show that he's a dwarf, so he's not as short as a hobbit, but he's not as tall as a man. And then we also have these new axes, which are also really good. So I think the only thing that I'm going to have to do, and like, okay, look at this. His arm is shinier than that. So it's like he actually has some metal armor on versus just normal metal. I don't know. So I like the new one fully, except he's missing one part. He needs a cape. So I had custom put on a cape onto my old Gimli. And so now let's just throw that cape onto this Gimli. And there we go. This is the ultimate Gimli. Pretty much just the new one with a good old cape. Now for Legolas, one of my favorite characters. Now, I've grew up with this guy. He is my favorite. I just love this Legolas. But these new pants are pretty much better because look at that. It's a dual molded. Like, he actually has boots on now. So I think we're going to have to go with the new torso. Probably the new face. And then this hair, though, is not my favorite. I do like the classic slicked back look. So there we go. That's basically already... Ooh, that is looking good. But we have 2 more adjustments we're going to make. So Legolas also needs a cape. And so I've taken one of these green capes that matches his clothes from one of the Mandalorians. And then I've also taken a quiver and sanded it all down so that Legolas, being an elf, can actually have a quiver. So let's put these on. And there we go. That is the best looking Legolas I've ever seen. He looks so good. Next we have Aragorn. And of the two, this old one looks very much more like an actual ranger outfit because it's actually his ranger outfit. This one's just him at Rivendell. So it looks, don't get me wrong, this new one is really good and I like it a lot. But the old one is more the Aragorn I want. And I was thinking of switching out the face, but I think we're going to leave old Aragorn. But of the 2 swords, we're going to give the old one the new sword. And then to complete off his look, I love giving everyone cloaks because that's been an addition that we've kept adding. We are going to be giving Aragorn a cloak. We can give him this nice, good old black one. And this is an old one I had that's all like weathered and torn. So this definitely goes with the outfit of Aragorn being a ranger that's living in the wilderness. He's looking good. And lastly, we have Boromir. So first off, I think I do like the old outfit better. It just seems a little bit, I don't know, more refined in some way, or just a little bit more rustic. I don't know. Fits like the movie a little bit better. But of the 2 swords, now let's go to that. This new sword definitely is an upgrade because it's got like the actual shape of Boromir's sword. Look at that. And then also the shield. I like that this one's a nice domed shield where the old one was just good old flat. So let's give him that new shield. So the weapons of Boromir's new self was really good. And I think I have to say this new head is also a little bit more accurate. So the last piece for Boromir will be taking off his new head and snapping it onto our old figure. Ooh, and there we go. We have the ultimate Boromir right there. We now have the ultimate Fellowship of the Ring. And over here we have a dismembered Fellowship of the Ring. But let me know what you think of this fellowship and if there are any changes I should make or any choices that I made that you disagree with. And to end this off, here are my custom versions next to their original versions.